Movie celebrities of the 1920s. The Roaring Twenties brought some of the most defining years in Hollywood film history. Films and entertainment were on the rise during this lavish period. Films were making the transition from silent to having the actors talk, and the films were also becoming longer and more polished. There were many movie celebrities from the 1920s who are still well known today. The most prominent of these celebrities include Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Rudolph Valentino, Greta Garbo, and John Barrymore. Charlie Chaplin is possibly one of the most influential actors of all time and definitely one of the most remembered movie celebrities of the 1920s. He is most known for his silent films, and his character from The Tramp has come to define him. He was born in 1889 in London, England, and began his acting career at the young age of 8. This eventually led to Chaplin moving to America and signing his first deal with Keystone Studios. While at Keystone Studios, Chaplin produced his most famous silent film, The Tramp. In this film, Chaplin portrayed the character of the tramp. The physical attributes of the tramp include a pair of baggy pants, a tight coat, a large pair of shoes, a cane, and of course, the famous bowler hat. The attributes of this character have come to define Chaplin, his legacy, and the decade of the 1920s itself. After signing with several other companies, Chaplin eventually decided to become an independent producer in search for more freedom when it came to his films. Some of his most influential films produced by himself include The Kid, 1921, in which Chaplin introduced one of the greatest child actors, Jackie Coogan, A Woman of Paris, 1923, The Gold Rush, 1925, and The Circus, 1928, which brought Chaplin his first Academy Award. Chaplin went on to produce and act in many movies, as well as write several books and compose several songs. He has left his legacy in the art of filmmaking, and he is known today as one of the most influential movie celebrities of the 1920s. He changed the face of the decade, and when people in present time are reminded of the 1920s, not only do they think of flapper girls, but you can be sure Chaplin's face will come to mind. Another famous movie celebrity of the 1920s is Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton was born on October 4, 1895, in Pequot, Kansas. Coming from a family of performers, Keaton started performing at the age of 3, and his career was all uphill from there. At the age of 21, Keaton was introduced to film. He was both a movie producer and an actor. Some of his most famous films include The Three Ages, 1922, Sherlock Jr., 1924, and The General, 1927. All silent films, Keaton became known for his comedic facial expressions, doing his own stunts, and with that, his lack of injuries. Keaton truly changed the face of Hollywood in the 1920s by bringing a new style to films. His comedic approach was new to Hollywood, and with that, he influenced the entire film industry of the decade. The third movie celebrity that we will be exploring is Rudolph Valentino. Known as Hollywood's Latin lover, Rudolph Valentino was known as one of the first charming Italian actors. Born in Italy, Valentino immigrated to the United States in 1913. In 1921, Valentino landed his first leading role in the movie The Four Horsemen and the Apocalypse. With this breakthrough film, Valentino became known as the leading romantic actor in Hollywood. Some of his most famous romance films include The Sheik, 1921, Blood and Sand, 1922, and The Eagle, 1925. Fans fell in love with Valentino's good looks and charisma. When he died suddenly at the age of 31, people worldwide grieved his death. For days after his death, over 3,000 people crowded at a funeral home to see his body. He truly was one of the most beloved actors of the 1920s, and he is a true representation of the era. The next movie celebrity that we will be looking at is Greta Garbo. Born on September 18, 1905, in Stockholm, Sweden, Greta Garbo came to America when she was 19, having already begun her acting career back in Sweden. Her mysterious and intriguing look helped her become one of the most famous actresses of the 1920s. Garbo represented a new kind of Hollywood actress. With her mysterious looks, passion on the screen, and sex appeal, Garbo was desired and fascinated by men and women across America. Not only did she change the face of actresses in the 1920s, she also changed the face of American fashion in that decade, with her classic and elegant style. The last movie celebrity that we will be exploring today is John Barrymore. Grandfather of the well-known present-day actress Drew Barrymore, John Barrymore was born on February 18, 1882, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He started out first with stage acting in 1903, and early on he was known for his comedic roles. However, his more serious roles are what made him a well-known actor from this decade. Many movies helped him make his name, and he truly influenced the style of acting from the 1920s. Remembered as one of the greatest and handsomest actors of the era, Barrymore strongly influenced the culture of movies in the Roaring Twenties. These actors were definitely the most influential celebrities of the 1920s. From their skills on the screen to their defining personalities off screen, when one thinks of the Roaring Twenties, it is hard to ignore the impact that these actors had. They changed the face of Hollywood films, and because of this, it is hard to argue that they weren't some of the biggest stars of the decade. They overall added to the extravagance and the defining years that were the Roaring Twenties.